Hello, my name is Juan Cosillo, and today I'm going against my opponent's viewpoints on the death penalty. So her main issue with this is that all states should enforce the death penalty and that no prisoner should stay on death row for more than 10 years. Okay, so this is a pretty controversial topic, and I do agree that the prisoner should not be on death row for more than 10 years because that's ridiculous. But I don't think that we should enforce every state to enforce the death penalty. I don't think we should do that. So for the first one, I believe it's financially beneficial to have the inmates be sent to life without parole rather than be given the death penalty. Okay. My opponent says, and I quote, "It wastes a lot of taxpayer money to keep inmates in jail and have trials." Now, end quote. Now I do agree. The trials is what takes up a lot of the money, and especially for those inmates that have been in parole, that have been in death row for more than 20, 30 years. So that takes up a lot of money, okay? But, first evidence, according to deathpenalty.org, and on a state that you actually mentioned, Pennsylvania, it costed the state $816 million, I repeat, $816 million, just to sentence the inmates to death, okay? Rather than if they were given the life without parole. So because you chose to sentence them to death rather than life without parole, it costed your state $816 million more. That's a lot of money. Okay. Evidence number 2. According to Britannica, Arthur L. Alacron, who's a senior judge for the U.S. Court of Appeals, and Paula Mitchell, who was a professor of law at the Loyola Law School, said that their research revealed that, again, another state that you mentioned, here in California, that it costed the state $4 billion of federal and taxpayer money just on administering the death penalty since 1978. $4 billion. That's a lot of money just because you want to sentence them to death. Again, life without parole, it's a lot cheaper. But again, that's just my viewpoint. So, number 2. Justice can be served in different ways. Okay. So what my opponent said, and I quote, "Justice should be served. So the death penalty should not take more than 10 years." Okay. Now, I agree that justice should be served. I do agree. But I also think that different people have their different viewpoints of what justice is. And not everyone thinks that death penalty is justice. Okay. So, evidence number 1. You stated that Richard Ramirez died in jail from cancer, which is something that he would have gotten outside of jail, that if he was outside. And of course, he was in there for 30 years, which is a long time to be on death row. But again, you stated that he would have got that outside regardless if he was in jail. Well, I do agree that he would have gotten that outside regardless that if he was in jail or be sentenced to death quicker. It's not like he was in jail having a great time, enjoying his time, eating his favorite foods. He wasn't. It was miserable in there. He was seeing the same 4 walls for 30 years. Okay, eating the same trash food for 30 years. You tell me how that would feel. I don't think that would feel great. So I'm pretty sure that he was having a horrible time in jail and he wasn't just having a great time. Okay, so I don't think that's really a thing. So for my second piece of evidence, according to PBS, a study they started from the 1940s up until 2016, they saw that from 1965 up to 1995 was the highest trend of people in favor for the death penalty. Okay, and from 1995 all the way to present, the difference between people that are in favor and that are opposing it are starting to come together really, really closely. And right now they're almost neck to neck. Okay, and that was 2016. So I imagine if that trend kept continuing, that by now I would have guessed that the people who are opposed to death penalty maybe slightly edges out people who are in favor. Okay. Number 3. States have their own rights to do what they want in their own jail system, okay? So my opponent says that all states should enforce the death penalty, okay? Now, I don't think that should happen. You know, I think states, we as people, we elect the officials that are running our state, and so I think the viewpoints of the people are reflected into who we elect, and so I think they should have the power and the say of what goes on in our state, in our jail system. So the first evidence, according to Britannica, 28 states do have the the death penalty is legal, and 22 states have it as illegal. Okay, so the states that have it as illegal, they view that the death penalty is unconstitutional, and violates some of our amendments by giving judges absolute power in saying who should be get sentenced to jail instead of having the jury decide who actually gets the death penalty. So for my second evidence, again, this is more a personal take, but I believe we all have our own viewpoints on what the death penalty should be. Okay, again, we elect these officials to run our states. So if my viewpoint is in favor of the death penalty, if I do research on who's out there running for our governor or for our officials of our state, I'm going to see who has the same viewpoints as I do. Okay, and so I think that we elect who should be up there, and that should reflect our viewpoint. So that's why I think why those states that are not in favor are not in favor for a reason, because the people in that state do not like death penalty. And then so to conclude, I do agree that people that are in death row should not be in death row for more than 10 years. I think that's a ridiculous amount of time. Okay, 10 years. It should not take 10 years to have someone say, okay, you committed that terrible crime, this is your punishment. Okay, but what I do not agree again is that we should enforce every state to make it legal that death penalty should happen. Okay, again, this is a free country. We all have our say, and most of the people that don't have the states that don't have the death penalty are the people that don't like the death penalty, which is why they elect the official who is opposing the death penalty or who have the similar viewpoints as we do. And so with that being said, thank you. I hope you guys had a great day.